In 1960, The Magnificent Seven rode onto the silver screen, capturing the hearts of audiences around the world. Now, over 6 decades later, we pay tribute to the heroes who brought this timeless classic to life. Join us as we journey back in time to revisit the legendary cast of The Magnificent Seven and discover where their paths have led since their days on the frontier. All right, let's get started. Steve McQueen as Vin Tanner. After Never So Few, the film's director John Sturges cast McQueen in his next movie, assuring him he would hand over the camera. The Magnificent Seven, 1960, featured him as Vin Tanner. McQueen took the leading role in Sturges's subsequent major film, 1963's The Great Escape, a Hollywood portrayal of the real-life story of a historic mass escape from a World War II POW camp, Stalag Luft III. Concerns over insurance prevented McQueen from performing the film's famous motorcycle jump, which was executed by his friend and fellow motorcycle enthusiast Bud Ekins, who bore a resemblance to McQueen from a distance. In early 1978, McQueen developed a persistent cough. Despite giving up smoking and undergoing antibiotic treatments, his condition did not improve. His breathing difficulties worsened, and on December 22, 1979, after completing The Hunter, a biopsy revealed pleural mesothelioma, a cancer linked to asbestos exposure with no known cure. On November 7, 1980, McQueen passed away from a heart attack at 3:45 a.m. at a hospital in Juarez, just 12 hours after surgery to remove or reduce numerous metastatic tumors in his neck and abdomen. He was 50 years old. According to the El Paso Times, McQueen passed away peacefully in his sleep. Horst Buchholz as Chico. He is perhaps most renowned in English-speaking nations for his portrayal of Chico in The Magnificent Seven. Following his role in The Magnificent Seven, which achieved classic status, Buchholz starred in the romantic drama Fanny, 1961, alongside Leslie Caron and Maurice Chevalier, as well as the Berlin-based comedy 1, 2, 3, 1961, directed by Billy Wilder and featuring James Cagney. While these films were shot in Mexico, France, and Germany respectively, they were Hollywood productions, and Buchholz embarked on a period of residing in Los Angeles. He garnered favor with American audiences, but several missed opportunities hindered the progression of his career, causing it to stagnate. Scheduling conflicts prevented him from accepting roles offered to him, including Tony in West Side Story, 1961, and Sheriff Ali in Lawrence of Arabia, 1962, a role eventually portrayed by Omar Sharif. In 1958, Buchholz wed French actress Miriam Bru, and together they had 2 children, Christopher, who became an actor, and daughter Beatrice. Buchholz passed away unexpectedly at the age of 69 on March 3, 2003, at Charité Hospital from pneumonia that arose after surgery for a hip fracture. Berlin remained the city to which he remained steadfastly loyal, and he was laid to rest there in the Friedhof Heerstrasse. James Coburn as Brit. Coburn portrayed the knife-wielding Brit in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, directed by John Sturges for the Mirisch Company. Coburn was recommended for the role by his close friend Robert Vaughn. His first appearance on television occurred in 1953 on 4-Star Playhouse. Coburn landed a role in a commercial for Remington Products razors, where he demonstrated his ability to shave off 11 days of beard growth in less than 60 seconds, humorously noting that he had more teeth to display on camera than the other 12 contenders for the part. Coburn made his film debut in 1959 as the sidekick of Pernell Roberts in the Randolph Scott Western Ride Lonesome. He then secured a role in another Western, Face of a Fugitive, 1959. Coburn was married twice. His first marriage was to Beverly Kelly in 1959, and they had 2 children together. The couple ended their marriage in 1979 after 20 years. Later, he wed actress Paula Murad Coburn on October 22, 1993, in Versailles, France, and they remained married until Coburn's passing in 2002. Together, they established the James and Paula Coburn Foundation, a charitable organization. Coburn passed away from a heart attack at his residence in Beverly Hills on November 18, 2002, at 74 years old. His wife, Paula, recounted that he passed away in her embrace while they were enjoying music together. Brad Dexter as Harry Luck. He is renowned for his roles in tough guy and Western films, including the 1960 movie The Magnificent Seven. Following the war, Dexter secured a part in Hell Dorado, 1946, a Roy Rogers Western, where he was credited as Barry Mitchell. He also appeared under this name in Sinbad the Sailor, 1947. On Broadway, he featured in Magnolia Alley, 1949. Adopting the name Brad Dexter, he portrayed a villainous detective in The Asphalt Jungle, 1950, and earned a role in 14 Hours, 1951. Dexter's breakthrough came as a villain in RKO's The Las Vegas Story, 1951, alongside Victor Mature and Jane Russell. RKO then cast him in a similar role in Macau, 1952, also starring Russell, and subsequently signed him to a contract. The venture ultimately materialized as The Lawyer, 1970, featuring Barry Newman as Petrocelli. Dexter produced 2 additional films for Fury, Little Faust and Big Halsey, 1970, starring Robert Redford, and Lady Sings the Blues, 1972, starring Diana Ross as Billie Holiday. Dexter wed singer Peggy Lee in January 1953, but the couple divorced in November of the same year. He later married Mary Bogdanovich, heiress to the star-kissed tuna fortune, on January 27, 1971, and remained married until her passing on June 12, 1994. In 1994, he tied the knot with June Deere and stayed with her until his demise. Dexter passed away from emphysema in Rancho Mirage, California, on December 11, 2002, at the age of 85. Eli Wallach as Calvera. Eli Wallach portrayed Calvera in the film. He attended acting classes at the Dramatic Workshop of the New School in New York City under the guidance of the influential German director Erwin Piscator. Later, he became a founding member of the Actors Studio, where he studied method acting techniques with Lee Strasberg and fellow founding member Robert Lewis, alongside notable peers such as Marlon Brando, Montgomery Clift, Herbert Burhoff, Sidney Lumet, and his future wife, Ann Jackson. Wallach's final on-screen appearance was in the short film The Train, 2015. In the film, he depicts a Holocaust survivor who imparts a profound lesson to a self-absorbed young man during a chance encounter. Shot in early 2014, the short premiered on August 6, 2015, at the Rhode Island International Film Festival. Additionally, between 1984 and 1997, he lent his voice to a series of television commercials for the Toyota pickup. A few years prior to 2005, Wallach experienced a loss of vision in his left eye due to a stroke. He shared a close friendship with Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood. Wallach passed away on June 24, 2014, from natural causes at the age of 98. He was cremated, and Catherine Wallach informed the New York Times that Ann Jackson passed away on April 12, 2016, at the age of 90, at her residence in Manhattan. Robert Vaughn as Lee. Vaughn's depiction of hired gunslinger Lee involved donning black gloves throughout the movie, symbolizing his aversion to getting his hands dirty, even as he continued to carry out killings for payment. Vaughn made his first appearance on television in the episode titled Black Friday of the American TV series Medic on November 21, 1955, marking the beginning of over 200 episodic television roles for Vaughn until the mid-2000s. In 1956, Vaughn made his initial guest appearance on Gunsmoke in the episode named Cooter. The subsequent year, he made another guest appearance on Gunsmoke alongside Barbara Eden in a Romeo-Juliet scenario in the episode Romeo, which concluded happily for the newlyweds. Vaughn tied the knot with actress Linda Staub in 1974. They both starred in an episode of The Protectors in 1973, titled It Could Be Practically Anywhere on the Island. The couple adopted 2 children, Cassidy, born 1976, and Caitlin, born 1981, and currently reside in Ridgefield, Connecticut. Vaughn passed away in a hospice in Danbury, Connecticut on November 11, 2016, 11 days prior to his 84th birthday, following a year-long battle with leukemia. Vladimir Sokoloff as Old Man. Vladimir Sokoloff portrayed the Mexican old man in The Magnificent Seven. Amid the ascent of Nazism, the Jewish Sokoloff relocated initially to Paris in 1932, where he continued his acting endeavors on stage and screen. By 1937, he had immigrated to the United States. Despite his limited proficiency in English upon arrival, he landed a leading role in Georg Büchner's production Danton's Death, directed by Orson Welles. During that same year, he achieved prominence in English-language cinema with his role as Paul Cézanne in William Dieterle's The Life of Émile Zola. Sokoloff graced the stages of Broadway with his presence from 1937 to 1950. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, he also made appearances on various television series, including 3 installments of CBS's The Twilight Zone. On January 1, 1961, Sokoloff made a guest appearance as Old Stefano, a sagacious shepherd, in the ABC Warner Brothers Western series Lawman, alongside John Russell and Peter Brown. Additionally, he featured in an episode of The Untouchables titled Troubleshooter. His final film roles were in Escape from Zarain and Taras Bulba, both starring Yul Brynner. Both movies were released posthumously. Following a lengthy career, he passed away from a stroke in 1962 in Hollywood, California. Pepe Hern as Tomas. Hern depicts a peasant in The Magnificent Seven. Pepe Hern was born on June 6, 1927, in New Jersey, to Spanish immigrants Domingo Hernandez and Dominga Bethencourt. His parents hailed from Puerto de la Cruz on the island of Tenerife, Canary Islands. He had 2 older brothers, both born in the Canary Islands. Pepe Hern made his screen debut at 21 in Bodyguard, 1948, launching a career that spanned almost 4 decades. William A. Sider bestowed upon Hern his 2 most pivotal roles of the 1950s in the films Borderline, 1950, and Make Haste to Live, 1954. Television provided Hern with consistent visibility and engagement, featuring in numerous episodes of TV series such as The Rifleman, 1961-1962, The Fugitive, 1963, I Spy, 1966, The High Chaparral, 1967, Bonanza, 1964-1970, The Streets of San Francisco, 1972, Lou Grant, 1977, The Bionic Woman, 1977, and Charlie's Angels, 1979. In 1984, Hern made appearances in an episode of Murder, She Wrote and an episode of Hill Street Blues. He passed away on February 28, 2009, in Los Angeles, California. Natividad Vacío as Villager. Perhaps the most prominent film in which he appeared was The Magnificent Seven, 1960, playing Miguel, one of the Mexican villagers striving to protect their farming community from a gang of bandits. He made his debut in a 1950 episode of The Lone Ranger titled Dead Man's Chest. He had a significant role in The Hitchhiker, 1953, a film noir directed by Ida Lupino, although he enjoyed a varied career. For instance, he portrayed a character named Frank Smith, the family's gardener, in 5 episodes of the suburban sitcom Father Knows Best. In 1988, he featured in the Robert Redford film The Milagro Beanfield War, 1988, as Onofre, a one-armed man who claimed his arm was devoured by butterflies. He was part of the quartet known as the Senile Brigade. Vacío was a dear friend of actor George Reeves, renowned for his role in the TV series Adventures of Superman. Vacío portrayed a Mexican police inspector in the 1958 episode The Brainy Bureau. Vacío and Reeves became acquainted at Pasadena Junior College, where Reeves admired Nati, Vacío's nickname, for his singing and guitar skills. Reeves requested Naty's guidance in playing the guitar, and the two often played and sang Mexican tunes together. In Hollywoodland 2006, a film depicting Reeves' life and demise, the character of Vacío was depicted by Diego Fuentes, a Toronto-based actor and socialite, in a few scenes. John A. Alonzo as Miguel. A pivotal moment occurred during the filming of The Magnificent Seven, where Alonzo played a minor role, when he crossed paths with cinematographer Charles Lang. Alonzo's journey into the industry commenced as part of the cleanup crew at television station WFAA in Dallas. However, he swiftly made himself indispensable, not only by constructing sets, arranging lighting, and handling cameras, but also by directing cooking and children's programs. Eventually, he teamed up with actor Hank Williamson to create a beloved comedy duo. Alonzo assumed the role of the voice and puppeteer behind the irreverent Senor Turtle, who, alongside Williamson as his sidekick, hosted movies and cartoons. In 1956, the show was picked up by station KHJ in Hollywood, where it ran for only 26 weeks. Subsequently, Alonzo dabbled in still photography and acting, making appearances in several renowned shows such as Twilight Zone, Season 2, Episode 12 in Dust, as Luis Gallegos, Combat, 77 Sunset Strip, and The Alfred Hitchcock Hour. Alonzo passed away in 2001 after battling a prolonged illness at his residence in Brentwood, California. One of his most notable protégés is two-time Oscar winner John Toll, who commenced his career as Alonzo's assistant on films like Black Sunday, Norma Ray, Tom Horn, and Scarface. In 2007, director Axel Schill directed a feature documentary about Alonzo titled The Man Who Shot Chinatown, The Life and Work of John A. Alonzo. Robert J. Wilke as Wallace. In 1960, Wilke made an appearance in The Magnificent Seven as the railroad bully, Wallace, who was swiftly dispatched by James Coburn. Wilke graced numerous television westerns, including 7 episodes each of NBC's Laramie and CBS's Gunsmoke. He portrayed a hired gun in The Far Country, 1954, and maintained a consistent presence in both film and television over the ensuing 20 years. He accrued further Western credentials with roles in Man of the West, 1958, and several lesser-known films. Beyond the realm of Westerns, Wilke featured in From Here to Eternity, 1953, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, 1954. In the former, Wilke's character assigns guard duty to Maggio, sparking a series of events culminating in the plot's climax. In the latter, he assumed the role of the first mate of the Nautilus. It was Wilke who, in the film, alerts Captain Nemo to the approach of a giant squid and who declares, "We understand, sir, and we're with you," upon Nemo's announcement of his final intentions. Wilke's final cinematic portrayal departed somewhat from his usual roles, as he portrayed General Barnick in the 1981 comedy Stripes. Renowned for his prowess in golf, Wilke's wife, Patricia, disclosed that he succumbed to cancer at the age of 74 on March 28, 1989. Charles Bronson as Bernardo O'Reilly. In 1960, in John Sturgis's The Magnificent Seven, he portrayed one of 7 gunfighters rallying to the aid of the defenseless. Following the conclusion of World War II, Bronson pursued odd jobs until he found employment with a theatrical troupe in Philadelphia, initially as a scenic painter, which eventually led to minor acting roles. Later, he shared a residence in New York City with Jack Klugman, an aspiring actor at the time, while attending acting classes at the Pasadena Playhouse. Bronson's final leading role in a theatrically released film occurred in 1994's Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. The movie garnered negative critiques, with many expressing boredom with Bronson reprising the role and finding the film excessively violent. From 1995 to 1999, Bronson starred in a series of TV movies as Commissioner Paul Fine, the patriarch of a family of law enforcement officers. These included Family of Cops, 1995, Breach of Faith, A Family of Cops 2, 1997, and Family of Cops 3, 1999. Bronson's health declined in his later years, prompting his retirement from acting after undergoing hip replacement surgery in August 1998. He passed away at the age of 81 on August 30th, 2003, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Although pneumonia and Alzheimer's disease have been mentioned as contributing factors to his demise, neither condition is listed on his death certificate, which attributes his passing to respiratory failure, metastatic lung cancer, with secondary causes cited as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and congestive cardiomyopathy. Yul Brynner as Chris Larrabee Adams. He was renowned for his portrayal of the gunslinger Chris Adams in The Magnificent Seven. In 1941, Brynner made his debut on the Broadway stage in a production of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, premiering on December 2, 1941. In this production, Brynner took on the role of Fabian and delivered only a few lines in his limited English characterized by a distinct Russian accent. This experience contributed to expanding his language skills to include English, alongside French, Japanese, Hungarian, and Russian. Despite having obtained U.S. citizenship at the age of 22 in 1943, while residing in New York as an actor and radio announcer, Brynner relinquished his American citizenship at the U.S. Embassy in Bern, Switzerland, in June 1965. This decision was prompted by the loss of his tax exemption as a U.S. resident working abroad. Having overstayed his time in the United States, he faced financial ruin due to tax and penalty debts imposed by the Internal Revenue Service. In September 1983, Brynner experienced throat discomfort and noticed changes in his voice. After seeking medical attention in Los Angeles, he received devastating news just hours before his scheduled 4,000th performance in The King and I. He had been diagnosed with inoperable lung cancer. Remarkably, his throat remained unaffected. Brynner succumbed to lung cancer on October 10, 1985, at New York Hospital, at the age of 65. Let's take a moment to honor these extraordinary individuals who brought these characters to life and the heroes they continue to represent both on and off the screen. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more tributes to the legends of cinema.